Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Cause this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're gonna give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. Y'all know what it is. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown and Big Flo.
What's good, America? What's going on with you this morning, B. Brown?
You know what it is, man. Just here in all of our grandeur. The spring is here. It's your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Success Celebration. Here for another week of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Like we said, with sports, business, and entertainment collide, this is going to be rough, rugged, and raw because that's the only way we know how to do it. For everybody who is coming in to listen live, we ask you, like we ask you every week, humbly, please like, please comment, please share. I see my man, Killer Fred in the building. What's up, Killer Fred? One of our loyal audience members. And not only do we ask you to like, comment, and share, we ask you to tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. And if you're listening to us in the podcast universe, please subscribe and tell other people to do so too. We got an action-packed morning, so we're going to get started.
Let's go.
Get on in, man. We would be remiss. Today is the day after Earth Day. Happy belated Earth Day.
Happy birthday, Earth.
Yeah, happy birthday to the Earth.
So did we decided the Earth was born yesterday? Is that
I think they celebrate the Earth. And you know, in Florida, we spell that EARFF.
Okay.
They celebrate the Earth.
Was it like a candle burning, blowing out or something?
I don't know, man. I think you're just supposed to celebrate your impression on the Earth. Okay. Not kiss the ground, but make sure you protect the Earth. That's what it's about. It's awesome. The environmentalists, I think, started Earth Day.
I keep missing. I don't think I have they have my right email address. So when they put that stuff out, I don't get everything.
That's because you're spelling it wrong. You're spelling it TH. You're spelling EARF. Earth.
I'm just trying to
celebrate the Earth.
I want to contribute.
So as we celebrate the Earth, or the day after, I also have to give a shout out to my wife. Celebrated her birthday this week. So happy birthday, Earth. Yep.
Do we stop and sing, or do we just leave it at the happy birthday?
No, we don't stop and sing. We don't give no numbers. I wanted to make sure I recognize that she it's tourist season. So she started off tourist season. Happy birthday to my wife. And then we also want to make sure that we take a moment and pause and do a very brief but important moment of silence. This week has been a really tough week. So this week's episode is Don't Wait to Exhale. In addition to all the other heavy topics that we'll get into, it's been unfortunate what's happened to the sports world with young lives. We have Antron Pippen, who is Scottie Pippen's oldest child, died. He struggled with chronic asthma throughout his life, played college basketball, and according to Scottie Pippen, could have played in the NBA if he didn't have the asthma condition to contend with. You had Terrence Clark, 19-year-old from Kentucky. He was projected to be drafted in NBA, just signed with an agency. He got killed in a car accident in LA. And then Shock G, man, from the music world. So because we are where sports, business, and entertainment collide, we want to take all three of those tragic stories and make sure we do a brief but very important moment of silence for them, their families, their friends, all of the fans that they impacted. Let's do a brief moment of silence. It's a reminder that life is precious. What's up, Tate Mac? We got some old teammates in the building. Tate Mac is in the building. What up, Tate?
Mac Attack. What's going on, Tate?
It's a reminder how short life is. So that's why today's episode, Don't Wait to Exhale, is very timely. We know that the Derek Chauvin verdict was read as of, what was that, Tuesday or Wednesday? The days just combined now. I think that was on Wednesday. It was my wife's birthday it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday when the verdict was read.
Yeah, the jury, the closing arguments were Monday, and then Tuesday they came back with the
Yep, they deliberated about 9 hours, and there was a verdict. And it seemed to be right after the verdict, there was another police shooting that was captured, 16-year-old girl in Ohio. So very heavy week, but we still going to talk about sports, business, entertainment. So let's hop on in. First segment, you know what it is. It's a sports freestyle where we drop bars. Hot 16. If you've never seen us in the booth, here's your chance to check us out, baby. We in the booth. We got 16 minutes to make an imprint on the sports world. I'm getting the clock ready to keep us honest. We got some good stuff to talk about.
Probably be the first time we kept honest. For those of you guys who are our Thursday night crew, 16 minutes usually lasts about 35, 45 minutes.
We're going to stay to 16, at least maybe 16 and a half. Maybe
16 and a half.
16 and a half. But we 16 hot bars starts. We get the timer right. 16 minutes. There we go. Starts now. First topic. Let's go. KD's top 5. KD had a top 5 of all greats, and he did not have his former teammate Russell Westbrook in there, Mr. Triple Double, but he has some interesting names in there. Of course, he included himself. What do you think about KD's top 5?
I mean, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. It's just maybe he wasn't expecting the question because he was searching for the 5th, and he said Serge Ibaka, and someone said no Westbrook, and he's like, oh man, whatever, expletive, whatever he said. Man, then he went ahead and reordered it and put him above some people. So he had to put the guys on his current team on his top 5. Then he grabbed 2 people from Golden State. He didn't know where to go.
I don't remember his exact top 5, but I think he had.
So he had Russell. I mean, he had Kyrie Irving. He had Harden. He had Steph. He had Klay Thompson, and then he said, and Serge Ibaka. Like he couldn't even think of the 5th one, right?
But that was the current. He also did a top 5 of all time.
He doesn't play with Steph and Klay right now.
The top 5 of people he played with. But then he did a top 5 of all time in that was $1 million worth of game with Gilly, which is a great podcast. He did a top 5 of all time too, which he had.
Oh, top 5 players of all time. That's a little bit a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I don't have that one.
No, same exact interview. Okay. But he did a top 5 of people that he played with. And Durant, KD did admit that he forgot about Westbrook.
Like right away. Yeah. Not to be too drama filled, but you know what? We got to make a little something out of it.
We definitely have to. I don't know how you forget about him as a teammate, but I think he was possibly trying to forget Westbrook because Westbrook was hard on him, man, for a few years. So you know how you just compartmentalize things in your brain? Like, I didn't even think about that dude. That's the only way I can move on and have a thriving career.
I mean, at the same time, I want to give him a pass and say, all right, he just went on my current team, my last team. But then you went to Serge Ibaka. So when you went back to OKC, you still didn't draw your memory?
I know.
I don't know. Was there anybody good on that team?
Who else was on that team? Let me think. But I thought it was an interesting story, man. KD, boy, you stay in the middle of it. I don't think KD should do any interviews for I
think him and Trump need to get a podcast.
That would be entertaining. That would be very entertaining.
Him and Trump need to get a podcast, or just Twitter wars.
That would be very entertaining. We celebrated, or at least introduced last week, through conversations about the cover of Essence magazine. We celebrated UCLA's gymnastics program and their decision not to assimilate, to be fully Black. Those young ladies are doing their thing. But we also introduced the fact that there was going to be a gymnastics championship covered for the first time on ESPN. Michigan, both of us tend to hate Michigan, but let them enjoy their moment. The Michigan gymnastics team wins their first ever NCAA title, knocking off Oklahoma. I do like the fact that ESPN highlighted gymnastics, college gymnastics, and whether you like it, my wife likes gymnastics, so I'll watch it, especially during the Olympics. It's the most popular Olympic sport, probably. It got to be up there.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Next to track.
Track, yeah.
So shout out to Michigan.
Gymnastics. I think gymnastics is cool, but only during the Olympics, really.
Yeah, I don't normally watch it, but that is, again, back to coverage. We talked about this in Strictly Business last week, is that it depends on how you give things coverage. So I'm happy to see women's gymnastics is getting coverage because, let's be honest, can't neither one of us do the things that they do. I mean,
you ever see my round off flip flop? Man, I got him. Hold on. Let me hold my beer.
I bet you can. I
will take that bet with you.
You're gonna bet against yourself. Ball Hog Sports Talk. We're gonna show Big Flo doing a round off flip flop. You called it a flip flop.
No, we're not.
That's what we call it in the hood. Flip flop.
A flip flop.
The Olympics. Let's hop on in actually to the next topic. And actually, we're not gonna start with the Olympics. I messed that up. We're gonna go first with soccer because there was a super league that was established, and it lasted every bit of 12 seconds. But we saw. Did you see the story of soccer?
It's like they went to Big Mama's house. Yeah, I mean, so these premier teams said that they were going to break away and they were going to do their own league, and they got things together. And all of a sudden, they put it out there and got just smacked down. Shut up. Yeah. FIFA don't play, man. FIFA is in control.
UEFA, however you pronounce that, but it's the fans really who are referred to as hooligans, and they absolutely showed that they are hooligans. The fans showed up and showed out. They were not going for it, shall I say?
Yeah.
There was a murmurs of people asserting that U.S. capitalism was trying to take over soccer because you have so much U.S. capital influence and money in the business. Yeah.
So my question is, how much preparation went into the release? They thought it out, they planned it out. We're going to do this. They probably called venues, probably invested hours, and they were like, "Nope, all right, yeah, let's just kill it.
Let's just kill it. We're going to dead that.
Did it right there."
It does show the power of the fans, though, in Europe because
it's the power of the world right now. The crowds, the power of the crowd. The masses, the people with pitchforks. We're gonna come back and tell you what's going on, and people follow it. So, hey, soccer is a fan-led. Professional sports are fan-led, right? If the fans don't want it, then you shouldn't do it. So, if the fans don't want you to break off, shut up and play.
Are you ready on the Ball Hog Sports Talk to start referring to what we call in the U.S. soccer? Are you prepared to start calling it football?
European football. Or
European football.
Nah, I'm not gonna give Europe that.
Fake football. I can't say fake. Fake isn't.
I don't know. I come from a family that plays soccer, so they call it football, but I just call it soccer. I mean, if they don't like soccer, then just don't talk to me.
Mama name him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. I'm calling it soccer in the U.S. We got to be respectful because the way that those fans showed out at the mere threat that there would be a super league that was different from what they had experienced. Would change their fan experience. The way those fans showed up and showed out is pretty impressive, man.
So you're saying you're worried that if you don't respect their name, that they might move on you.
Right.
Yeah, the hooligans might come to the house. The Brown House. Hey, man, we're here. We hear you having a hard time pronouncing football.
Yeah,
we're here to help you with your pronunciation.
You're gonna like it too. Not only are you gonna call it football, you're gonna like it. Yeah. The 2021 Olympics, which is weird because that's not multiple of 4. Yeah. But at the same time, it is what it is. It is 2021 Olympics now in Japan. They are saying, those Olympic Committee folk are saying, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here when it comes to social activism. And they are saying that it is an absolute ban on protesters. They don't want to hear about your cause. They are there for the sports. Pretty interesting.
It is very interesting. They banned the words Black Lives Matter from me, but you can have unity, justice, pretty much all the things that are on the back of the jerseys except for Black Lives Matter. They don't want anyone taking a knee. They don't want to do whatever. The question is what they're going to do about it. Because there's some attorneys out there. There's an attorney group that's saying that they're going to help people fight that, whatever. Are they going to strip you of your medal? Because really, if they don't strip you of your medal, who cares? What are they going to do? Tokyo isn't going to sue me if I do something. So somebody's going to do something. Let's just go ahead and put it out there. So now that you've said that, somebody's going to do something.
Every time you tell somebody not to do something, you are encouraging and inviting them.
You're daring them.
And you got Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
You better not take a knee.
You think back to 1968 with John Carlos and Tommy Smith. And there was, at that point in America, it was the height of what we thought of as a civil rights movement. There's kind of a resurgence of what we're thinking of as a civil rights movement here. And we saw it this week. We've seen it throughout the whole, what I like to call it was not only just a pandemic year, but it turned into the George Floyd year, Ahmaud Arbery, all of these names of people that sparked protests around this country. I'm almost certain that this is going to be looked at as a double dog Georgia dare, right? And there are going to be people protesting. I think that they better have the attorneys on speed dial, because it doesn't sound like this Olympic Committee is playing.
Yeah, they aren't. But again, like so when you go back to the protests you mentioned where they put their fists in the air, they got stripped of their gold medals. But that was from the United States, or was that from the Olympic Committee?
I don't remember who stripped it. I know that they got shunned when they got back. I know that there was
and that's going to happen here too, but nobody cared.
I don't know if nobody cared. I mean, because I remember buying that shirt about the 1968 Olympics, and that was powerful to me. Okay,
let me.
They were banned from the Olympics. They were banned from the Olympics. That's what happened. So I think they had to leave the Olympic Village.
Okay, so that is what they can do. So when I said nobody cares, it's like, okay, when you make a statement like that, you're going to make some people mad, and you don't care. You make them mad because that was your goal in the first place, right? People are going to get upset. People are going to take a knee, and people are going to be upset about that, and that's okay. That's part of the deal. You just got them thinking about it, talk about it. So if the Olympics is going to send people home, which I did see a reference to that, they don't know if they'll send people home. That might be something where people decide not to do it. Talk about sacrifice. You work your whole life. Most people usually only have one chance in a 4-year period for their peak to try to get to the Olympics.
Right.
And to make a stance where you can get sent home, maybe they'll do it on the stand after they finish their event. Send me home now, because I was ready to get up out of here anyhow.
If you were thinking about protesting in any way, it definitely gives you pause, because this is as explicit as possible. The committee saying you can protest, but don't do it here. So we shall see. On the other side of that, there have been, and the WNBA is a good example, that leagues that have embraced the right to protest. You saw the story, the women jerseys. There have been hits and misses when it comes to social activism through these jersey swaps. I don't know if you got a chance to look at some of the jersey examples, but
so I saw the one where they and excuse me for not having the details. They try to promote a women's group, to do the equality, and they found out the women's group didn't accept black people. Do we not have Google? I understand back in my day you had Encyclopedia Britannica, right? So if it didn't make that year of Encyclopedia Britannica, shout out to Encyclopedia Britannica and whoever sold them door to door. But you didn't Google it, man. You ain't check it out. It's a lot of people involved, man. That's what interns are for: coffee and research. Right. So luckily somebody caught it at some point before it got too much. They sold too many of them.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that the WNBA has embraced the messaging through the jerseys. I do like that there's so many examples of women basketball players. We had Lauren Miller here last week, a UCLA player, and even at the collegiate level, women have, I think, led the way when it comes to using their platform. And so love it. Now, because we still got a few minutes in the Hot 16, we're going to go back to where we started, because KD had his top 5. Now we got to have our top 5. Who's your top 5 teammates that you ever played with? You get 5.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, that's the same thing happened to KD. He was on the spot. He didn't know the question was coming.
I'm going to have to say Jerome Bettis.
JB.
Bryant Young. Aaron Taylor. I had so many good ones. I was cheating.
That's a good start.
That's my top 3. Give me your 3, and I'm gonna give you my last 2 while I'm thinking about
it. To me, I gotta go with, and I'm going all the way back to my best friend Kareem White. He was very short, but all state at 5'7". Give him at middle linebacker in Florida is, you don't see that very often. He was a man child at that position. Autry Denson at running back, he did things that were unthinkable. I gotta go with Derek Mays at receiver.
Derek Mays made mine too. D
Mays was special. I played for the Browns, man. Well, Brett Favre. I was in Green Bay. Brett Favre, who, the numbers, can't deny the numbers. That's 4. So you give me your 2.
So I'm going to have to say D Mays too, because I'm going to go by position and say whatever. And then I'm going to go, this is so hard because there's so many first rounders there, but I'm going to probably go Bobby Taylor.
It's cool. I've got one more, and I would put it in the offensive line position, and I'll go with. I mean, Luke Pettigrew was a first rounder, but I think Mike Rosenthal was better. So I'll go with Mike Rosenthal. And he was a class.
Big Rosie.
Big Rosie. But that just goes to show you, if put on the spot and asked who your top 5 all-time teammates are, that's tough to do.
Because someone's going to tell me later, I can't believe you didn't say so-and-so. I'll be like,
we got Tate Mack on here. Tate, I could have
Tate Mack. It was Tate Mack. You came in number 6. You were number 6. You were number 6.
But it's a challenge, and put on the spot even more challenging. The interesting part about I think the interesting part about his neglect of putting Russell Westbrook in the top 5 is his immediate admission that he made a mistake, because Mr. Triple Double is definitely in his top 5 team.
Especially because he said Serge Ibaka. So Serge is a good basketball player, but you were digging when you went Serge. He was like,
he was on the back low.
Anybody else on my team good? Do you think Serge Ibaka should have went in there above Draymond?
No. Serge Ibaka doesn't think that Serge Ibaka should have went in there with Draymond.
He couldn't even find nobody. People like, damn, you think
I think he's got a love-hate relationship with Draymond that's very clear. And I think it's sort of the same way that he compartmentalized Russell Westbrook. I just got to forget about this dude to move on. I imagine that the whole Draymond thing and that incident still bothers him because he got punked. And it has stayed with him. All right, so we have now gotten to 16 minutes. That's a hot 16.
You got to stop. Just for the record. We got
bars. 20 seconds left. Yeah, we finished with 20 seconds left. We've never done that before. All right, let's hop on in. We're going to keep it moving because it's where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Let's get into the business segment. And the business segment is appropriately named Numbers Game because there are so many different business stories that impact the numbers. And this week, we got a few of them. And we're going to hop right in because the ultimate business story to me in Numbers Game is my man Slim Reaper. No, not KD. Devontae Smith, who is Mr. Heisman Trophy winner. And we found out through this Indianapolis pseudo, but not really combine. They did a medical combine. So they still had the same medical professionals poking prod on you. And Devontae Smith came back at a whopping 6 feet tall,
6 feet,
166 pounds, soaking wet. And I'm looking right now at for
he's
me
like
and my
a 1970s boxer, like one of them middleweights. That's all he is.
Maybe. But I'm looking right now at a particular breed of a dog, a South African Boerboel, that a lot of times weighs more than 166 pounds. They about 175 pounds.
But can they catch the out? Huh? Can they catch the jump ball? Huh?
I'm going to teach my dog that trick to catch the out. What do you think about Devontae Smith coming in at 6 foot 166? Does that deter you? If you are a personnel person, or you're a GM, 166 pounds, Big Flo, come on, man. That's light, bro. That's light.
That's like a stout Czech woman. But like 6 feet tall, he's got decent height. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shorter receivers out there. Again, he played at Bama. He played in the national championship game. Couldn't be covered. So where are these DBs coming from? College, right? Now, granted, I would say the NFL DBs are better than the current college DBs, but he scored a lot of touchdowns. A lot of people that are going to get picked on next Thursday are going to get picked, right? A lot of people that are great DBs. So I think you make too much of it. He's not going to be blocking anybody. That's not in his contract. He's not going out there to block nobody. But I think he's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball. I mean, he's quick. He's fast.
How expensive? How much are you willing to spend on a 6 foot, 166 pound receiver? If you got a top 10 pick, are you willing to spend it on 6 foot, 166 pounds?
Okay, my short answer, quick answer to that is going to be no, without researching these people. But if you have a top 10 pick, a wideout is probably not you're not a wideout away, right? And I will admit that he's probably not your do-all wideout, right? If you got a guy that, a Megatron type wide receiver that can go out there and block and take people down if they have an interception, track them down the other side of the field, like DJ Metcalf, whatever. I can see that kind of stuff. Maybe he's not a top 10 pick. He's definitely a first rounder, but it's need based. It's what are you looking for? What do you have on your team? Maybe you have the big, huge monster receivers and you need the quick guy to come in there and play the slot. But I mean, what's the guy that just retired from the Patriots because of medical?
Julian Edelman.
I mean, Julian Edelman's shorter. He's thicker. He's shorter, whatever. But I mean, some people are threatening to call him a Hall of Fame guy.
But you mentioned DK Metcalf. To me, I think that is the norm now. That big, that physical, that fast. You can get all in one. You don't have to choose one over the other. Mm-hmm. And they when I say choose one over the other, you don't have to choose physicality over speed, because it's almost like a all in one with some of these freak of natures like the DK Metcalfs and the Julio Jones. I don't know if I'm willing to spend a top 10 pick, and I think there are teams that are willing to. You're a Bears fan. If the Bears want him with their first pick, do you think it's worth it?
It's too cold up here to be 166. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to think about situation too. He's more of a San Diego type. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I mean, how about what's my man that played for the Eagles? Deshaun. I'm bad with name. Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
How much did he weigh?
Not a lot, but you're talking about a generation before us.
Nah, Deshaun Jackson, come on, man. You trying to say he can play now. Now, look, there are monster receivers out there, but these little dudes out there, they got little jokers out here running around. Little guys doing it. He played for Bama. They won a national championship. He beat the SEC. They had the hardest schedule that Bama's ever had in the history of their thing. They played all SEC schedule. They didn't play any barber colleges, any beauty schools or anything this year, and he balled out. Now, he still wasn't the best receiver on their team. Deshaun Jackson, 5'10", 175. That's better?
I love that Bama listed the Grim Reaper, the Slim Reaper, at 6'1", 175. I love that they cheated. Marketing is everything.
6 pounds. I don't know, man. What those 6 pounds do? You think Deshaun Jackson packs more of a punch with those little 9 pounds he got?
I don't know, but when he scored, he was always crip walking. He was straight from. He got
nobody touched him, but when you touch him, it was different.
I played with a guy, Dennis Northcutt, that was always like crip walking, and he had Napoleon complex like no other. If Devontae Smith has that Napoleon complex with a chip on his shoulder, then I'm willing to spend a pick. But I don't know that he does. Although he was upset when questioned about his weight, he said it professionally, but basically he was saying, "Step to me then. If you think it's real, step to me then." Basically, he said it professionally.
Calm the tough talk down, big guy. Just beat me deep. But I'm not the tough talk. Nobody's scared of a 165-pound man except for a 155-pound man. Right? So relax.
Right. Yeah. We shall see, man. I think that there are going to be teams that reach and jump for him because he has so much game film out there. And Alabama wide receivers have done well of late at the next level. So they think that Devontae Smith will be just the next one in the line of wide receiver lineage from Bama. So we shall see. Kobe. The estate, by way of Vanessa Bryant, has decided to part ways with Nike. And I know I was in line trying to get those, in line being online, trying to get those Mamba releases. Mm-hmm. And Vanessa, just like me, had issue with the supply and demand decisions that Nike put forth when it came to the Mamba shoe. And they purposely held on to some of the inventory, and it was almost impossible to get. And I think at a point where retail was thriving, you could do that. But nowadays, the resellers, all they're going to do is buy the shoe and go sell it for thousands and thousands of dollars. No. So Nike loses Kobe by way of Vanessa, and they also lost Simone Biles, who decided to sign with Athleta because she said that they were inclusive and they were devoted to diversity. Is Nike, is this the sign of the times? Is Nike a little bit outdated?
No, I'm not going to go that far. I think Nike's still the de facto brand with the top athletes. I wouldn't close the book on Nike and Kobe. I think that Vanessa's using some negotiation by saying we're not going to sign the contract, but you haven't launched anything new. Had she had something new in mind, you'd hear about something new already, but they really don't have anything. I think it'll be a little bit more difficult with his passing to launch a brand new brand, because what do you do for marketing? Like, what do you do? I mean, you can recycle Kobe commercials in Nike stuff. You can do different things. And obviously you almost think he's a man that needs no advertising, but you kind of do. The NBA has 20% of their players are wearing Kobe's. He sells more shoes than Jordan, more shoes than LeBron. I think she'll be back. I think it's a good chance. She's just being a very smart businesswoman, as I'm sure she is in her the team that I'm sure she's surrounded with. Not to say she couldn't handle the decision by herself, but I'm sure they don't like when things are going, so they cancel it. And then I think Nike's going to have to come back and say, we'll do things more the way you want to do it. But I think going in a different direction with a brand new brand with a unfortunately deceased spokesperson is a little bit more difficult. It doesn't make as much sense. Now, Simone Biles, she already picked her next brand. I understand it. So she's gonna roll out.
She's on to the next. I agree with Vanessa in the sense that they kept inventory too low. And in addition, there aren't a lot of Mamba shoes that are available in kid sizes. So I experienced both because I did want that shoe. It was purple and gold. B, it was Mamba mentality. And I was never a big Kobe fan because I was a big Michael Jordan fan. But I always respected the fact that every kid during a certain era on Earth, post-Earth Day, every kid on Earth wanted to be Michael Jordan. Only one kid was able to emulate him almost to perfection. And Kobe did it. So as a Michael Jordan enthusiast and purist, I always struggled with being a Kobe fan, but I always respected that he did something that I couldn't do. And every other kid on the planet Earth tried to do, emulate MJ. He did it with poise. And as he moved into post-basketball life, really respected his business acumen, really respected his commitment to developing women's sports. So I agree with Vanessa that the supply-demand decisions were porous by Nike, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next because the Mamba mentality is a real thing. It's a real brand, and people believe in it. So
yeah, they put a couple trademarks. There's like 5 trademarks that they put out there with some of the Mamba Sita, Mamba mentality, that kind of stuff. I think they're gonna be back with Nike.
You think they're gonna be back? All right, we shall see. It's sort of a segue because it connects us to MJ. This whole world of sports betting. Because MJ has been very well known for his his proclivity to bet $1 or $2, and he even got in trouble with David Stern during his
allegedly
got in trouble.
Never been
allegedly was forced to retire allegedly because of his gambling, and now he is an advisor along with Giselle to one of the biggest online. Giselle, did I say that right? Giselle.
When you tried to say Tom Brady, it sounded like you said Giselle.
Yeah.
So when you said Tom Brady, the way you pronounce it is kind of funny.
You pronounce it. So you think that the only reason Giselle is an advisor is because of Tom Brady? Come on,
Giselle Bundchen is. There's a lot of supermodels out there. Is she still the top model? Why don't you get one of these other ones? Huh?
I don't know, but they decided to go with Giselle.
One of the Kardashians out there. Why don't you? I mean, everybody else is modeling now. What's going on?
I love that Charles Barkley, who's also been known to bet $1 or $2, said that, he talked to an NBA owner or an executive, basically said, with all of this money from sports betting being legalized, we're not even going to need the TV revenue anymore. Sports betting coming online is huge. The number one bookie or what do they call it? The places to place a legal bet. The number one place is not in Vegas anymore, but right outside New York, because in New Jersey, it is now legal and it's a Starbucks. It just goes to show you how different it is now that things have been legalized, that you can go place a bet and you can find anything and everything to handicap. Sports betting is here to stay. I don't know. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you, do you indulge? Because I don't know if it's legal.
I had a bad bet one time. And I'll never forget this bet. This is where I stopped. It probably was about 1999. I'll never forget it. It was 7-point spread. It was UConn versus Georgetown, and I think it was a 8-point spread, something like that. And it was 7-point lead. There was like 20 seconds left. Khalid El-Amin strips the ball. He's going down court for the. Definitely, he's either going to get fouled, he's going to put up off the glass. I get the 9. Give me my money. This dude catches a cramp in his hamstring. He starts hobbling off and calls a timeout. Suddenly the cramp is gone and they dribble the clock out. I lose. Cheaters. You don't
believe in it.
I stopped betting it. I stopped
gambling in 1997. We went to I don't even know what it was called, the Doodle Bowl in Shreveport. I don't know what it was called. It was called the Poland and Weed Eater Bowl, something like that.
Yeah.
And they let us go out on the first night. Shreveport is one of those communities that has the gambling boats. I walked onto that boat with my bowl check. And if you can remember, that was a substantial amount of money.
For sure.
For a 20-year-old. I walked off that boat with my draws and no money. And I committed.
They let you keep your draws, though.
They let me keep my draws. They let me keep my draws. But at that point, I was willing to go straight natural. Happy birthday to me. Birthday suit. I was so upset. And since that day, I've never gambled. Gone to Vegas several times, but never gambled. It only took one of the moments for me, and I was done. But sports betting being online and being legalized throughout the country is taking over. It's huge. You see all the commercials. I'm hoping that there's never a situation where a game is sacrificed because of someone's betting decisions. But you see on ESPN, they got the big beat, what is it called? Bad beats. Yeah. They got all these segments now that they are unapologetic. That's actually
a great segment on ESPN. Segment. It's late at night. Sometimes I fight to stay up. I love watching their bad beats. But you know, when I first saw the thing about Barkley, and sorry for looking down everybody, but I was trying to look up some statistics. When he said that it would replace the revenue from
TV,
the TVs,
TV dollars,
my first impression was like, how the hell are the sports teams benefiting from betting? That seems a little shady to me. But it says $4.2 billion in direct revenue every year that we'll be getting from I think that's just the NBA. So $600 million from direct TV advertising, $267 million from sponsorship revenue and gaming services, $90 million from the data revenue, which is interesting now that they're selling the data. I think that's kind of the way the world is working, but they're selling the data. And then $3.2 billion indirect revenue from media rights, sponsorships, merchandise, and ticket sales. You know, because it threw me off. I was like, y'all betting on the games too? What the hell are you talking about? These owners over here.
There's a whole business.
These owners back in there, give me some on this. But there's a lot of money to be made off of this betting. That's why they're coming around on social justice, because they really don't care if Billy Bob doesn't watch the game. It doesn't matter, because Billy Bob gonna bet. He's a degenerate.
He gonna bet.
We know he got a problem. He gonna bet whether or not he let everybody know anyway. So who cares?
They give you that disclaimer if you got a gambling problem, yada 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 yada. And I discovered my gambling problem and made sure I solved it right then and there. My man Tate said he posted Independence Bowl took y'all to the casino. Yes, you did. And J-Rock lost all his money too. I shall not confirm or deny, but I know J-Rock is my quarterback, and it was an interesting week of practice because that was the first day of the bowl week. You know, I couldn't even focus, man. I was all messed up. I'm like, man, I can't even get my mama a Christmas gift messing with this doggone bowl, messing with this doggone casino. Shreveport, Louisiana. Thank you for the lesson. But sports betting is here to stay. All right, LaShawn McCoy, on the other side of being broke, which I was at the doggone Shreveport, Louisiana bowl. LaShawn McCoy is making that big time guap. He's making that money. He's doing so in real estate, and he's now building an empire. He is now teaming up with his brother. They've got, I think it's called Capital Venture. I don't know the name of the company, but it's a real estate venture. And he is buying properties in opportunity zones, which is, sort of the inner city opportunities, distressed properties. You can buy either the real estate or buy business, and there's tax incentives to buying and holding in these opportunity zones. Philadelphia is one of areas in Philadelphia does qualify opportunity zone. He's done work there. Thought it was a great story, but at the same time, it was interesting. He said that after 12 years, he's finally figured out what to do with his money. He is on the tail end of his career, although somehow, some way, that brother got some good luck because he got 2 Super Bowl rings at the tail end of his career, both in Kansas City.
And no source from those rings.
No stories whatsoever.
No scores.
But I thought it was a great story. What did you think? LaShawn McCoy building what is a real estate empire?
We've been hearing more and more stories, I think, that have been enriching over the last year. Whether it's the HBCUs getting funding and bigger names going there. Things with LeBron. Obviously, you can't stop doing great things with like the I Promise School and all the things. And now we're hearing more about investments, people buying different sports teams. And now this. I want to hear more of this because this is becoming more of the norm, and it's still coming out as an anomaly, but it's becoming more of the norm. A lot of these professional athletes get a lot of grief for going broke, and I want you guys to realize, just knowing a lot of pro athletes and knowing the inside story about a lot of them, don't think that these people get $100 million and they just buy that many cars and they're doing that many stuff. There's a lot of the times these people lose money is because of poor business deals where somebody who looks like a very professional person in a very nice office with a really nice suit that seems to be doing a lot of things, hustles them out of their money. They're embarrassed to talk about that typically, but Bernie Madoff probably got a couple athletes. There's a lot of people out there got that way. And so when you hear about a story about someone taking opportunity zones and going back into the community, putting in some money, and he's going to invest in, I think it's 60 properties now. I love to hear it. And I want that narrative to get pushed a lot more than the narrative that we hear about, he's broke, he ain't got no money. I'm not saying I'm tired of hearing it if it's the truth, but I'm just happy to see it go the other way.
Yeah, and LeSean McCoy, to be fair, it seems like, because in his 12th year, when the annual income has probably gone down significantly, to wait to the 12th year, which a lot of players do. They're older, they've got more at stake, they have families. That's when a lot of players learn. But the fact that the average NFL career is less than 3 years, most players don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the ramp up to learn those lessons. And so I think that's why you hear about so many guys going broke. But I thought also the interesting part of LeSean McCoy and building his real estate empire and real estate through opportunity zones was he talked about trust. He finally found someone he could trust in his brother, LaRon. And I think that whether it be NFL, NBA, a lot of professional athletes, trust is the big concern. You normally fall into two groups. The type of athletes that trust everyone. And we know how that ends. Mm-hmm. They've got an entourage around them. They're always the life of the party. They're always buying everything for everyone. We know how that ends. They trust too many people. And then the other group is the group of athletes that decides not to trust anyone. And when you decide to remove trust from anyone, you say no to a lot of opportunities, some of which could be good. Looks like LeSean McCoy has found a good balance. So shout out to him. Wanted to end the numbers game section with this story about Brad Stevens. You saw IU, Indiana University, offered essentially Brad Stevens, the coach, who is now in the NBA, but at one point was thinking about college, or at least his agent made people think he was thinking about college to see just how marketable he was. IU offered him $52 million more than they offered, who would then become their second choice, but now coach Mike Woodson, who played for IU, had a great stellar career, played in the NBA, coached in the NBA. Yet Indiana decided that Brad Stevens was $52 million more valuable than Mike Woodson. It's just interesting story, man. In the same week that Mike Tomlin, that fans and pundits said should be fired, got an extension. I like the Steelers and the way they do it. They've only had 3 coaches in the last 1,000,000 years. Mm-hmm. So I like the way the Steelers do it.
That's why they're always relevant.
Always relevant. But it's an interesting week, man, with this coalition of Black coaches coming to fruition, trying to make opportunities more available to Black coaches. $52 million delta between Brad Stevens and Mike Woodson. That's a lot of millions, brother, to say that he's.
Yeah, he needs to get a new agent. I mean, sometimes you look at that money out there. I mean, real talk, you let that kind of difference. You got that money in your coffers and you got that money to spend. You got to kind of hold out. I mean, I don't know what his marketability was for him to get other jobs, or he could negotiate that, or was he just so happy to get the job that he took what he could get? I don't know. I mean, and you got to look at IU. It's like, okay, if you're telling me that you have you're telling me that you got a coach that you want to pay this much money and you settle for a coach that you only think is worth this, why would you settle? If you don't think he's worth that type of money, if you really don't think that, then you should probably be trying to get a better coach for university than the one that you're getting. But you don't settle for that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of messages behind that.
Yeah, it is, man. And that's why I wore my coach's hat today, because I love the fact that there is now an association that's trying to protect the interests of Black coaches. But the fact that there's only 20 Black college football coaches among the 130 head coaches, among the 130 opportunities, and you look at the makeup of almost every top 5 program, there's a different ratio when it comes to Black players and Black coaches. It's just that I love the fact that there is an association that will protect the interests. But I know we talked about a lot of the NFL and professional athletes that we know. We also know a lot of people that went from whatever their playing days were into coaching. And we hear those stories too, about the struggle of ascending the ranks, about the fear that some institutions and some head coaches have when they look at your resume. What's supposed to be a solid resume could be looked at as a threat. Yep. And it happens a lot with some of the black coaches. People with amazing playing experience are expected to start at the bottom. And you look at stories like this, $52 million difference. That's
ridiculous.
That's a big number.
That's a huge number. I mean, we are Indiana, so there's some different things in that state that you obviously got to think about. But at the same time, they did hire a black coach. So I don't know. I think he needs to get a different agent. You know, you mentioned something, and I don't want to digress too far, but with the coaches in football, 20 coaches out of the 130. You know, one thing I'd like to see with this black coalition of coaches, you know, I try not to overplug my son here, but one thing I always think about is I talk to him and say, hey, man, when you're in college, you're going to play ball. Think about this. If you ever think that you'd want to be a coach, if you don't think that, you know, I mean, obviously everybody goes in there with NFL dreams, but if you start getting in your second and third year and you start thinking that this is more of this might not be happening, this NFL thing, and you start positioning yourself as a coach, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of coaches that we play with, right? I know a lot of guys that went to different colleges and they know a million coaches. I think there's a little bit of an encouragement thing that you want to go to some of these schools and think, I'm going into this thing and I want to get right into coaching. So you get a GA job when you're, you know, coming off living in the dorm room, you get a GA job right away. Right. I don't know that we get encouraged, we being African-American players, get encouraged to do that as much. You know what I mean? Maybe when they come out the NFL, they try to do it a little bit when they're kind of struggling, but then that's kind of hard because you made all that money. But coming right out of school, you know, I got a friend now, his son is at TCU. He played for Iowa State, and his first thing he did is if he didn't try to play anywhere else, he went right to TCU and got a job. And I thought that's what great advice that was. So anyway, I don't want to digress too far into that, but I'd like to see some of that going on with the with this coalition, if that's what they're going to do, mentoring some of these young coaches to get started.
Okay. I'll ask you on the spot, best black coach that you ever played for, any level. Most memorable experience, best black coach you ever played for.
I don't know. As far as best, I like Jay Hayes was a great coach. I loved him. He was a big impact.
He's in the NFL now, right?
He's retired now. He's with the XFL. Him and his brother were coaching the XFL team. Ron Cooper, he was a great guy. I never had a black position coach, but just coaches that just were around. Ron Cooper was a great guy. And I just think about guys that just were positive and made you feel, you know, comfortable. Coach Armstrong, he's still in the NFL somewhere. He was another coach we had at Notre Dame. Just there, I love Coach Mosley.
Armstrong just got a Super Bowl ring.
Yep. We just got a Super. Earl Mosley, another coach, great guy that I had. And again, when I'm saying these, you know, none of them were my position coaches. I never got the pleasure of having a black position coach, but just guys that when you, Keith Armstrong. Sorry, I didn't put his first name with it. Just guys that made an impact on you because of their presence when you're around. It made you want to do better. Made you motivated. Those are coaches that we had that I really like. So shout out to those four. And I'm sorry if I left one out.
Mine, Charlie Strong at the collegiate level. He recruited me at the University of Florida, and then I got to Notre Dame, and he was on campus because he had taken a job there. But I just remember he could relate to me. He'd be on the phone like, man, you on the other line? You on the line with one of them girls, man? What's up, dog? Who you talking to? You talking to what y'all talking about? It was just interesting that he appreciated.
I missed him. I wished I could have played for him.
Oh, he was a great coach and also an advocate off the field. And then at the NFL level, I would say it was Coach Robisky. Robisky was a good dude, is a good dude. Always, he was the one who, when I decided I was not going to go to NFL Europe to advance my career, I was going to pursue instead my dream to be a lawyer. He had a very frank and candid conversation with me, but it ended with, you're making the right decision because, you know, it's tough to be in this room and be one of the 53, and you've done everything that you can do. And some of it is out of your control because it's a numbers game. And so we'll end the numbers game section there. But good luck to all of those still pursuing their dream in the coaching world. All right, let's hop on to entertainment now, man. So we got sports. We've had business. Let's end with entertainment with the entertainment report. This week in entertainment has to start with a particular Uber driver who, while driving, I gotta shout that out before I introduce this. My man Kenan Tatum says Sam Mills, and Sam Mills is also a Montclair State grad. Talk about undersized but big heart player. Sam Mills, not only a great coach but a legend. Keep pounding was the hashtag attributed to him with the Carolina Panthers. And shout out to Sam Mills, man. Very, very, very left his legacy. So I know Sam Mills Jr. is somewhere in the NFL now doing this thing. Entertainment report starts with the WNBA. Well, no, it starts with Uber because there's a particular Uber driver.
Those bring those together.
You can bring them together. Uber and WNBA come together. Yeah. There's an Uber driver driving around. Anybody that wants to talk about basketball, he engages. But in one particular exchange, he tells someone about a player and says that she is the best. I know you recall this story, and I'll let you give it because you're a father of a female athlete as well, and you should be giving out shameless plugs. What did you think about this Uber driver shouting out Sabrina Ayunesku?
I love it because, here's a guy, he's driving the Uber. He's full of pride. He's a foreigner, so I love that he probably has an accent. And he's like, "Oh yeah, she's a good player." And he said, "Not good, the best, the best." He probably is driving down the street, looking in the back seat, pointing at them, saying "the best." Go. I picture that, and I just love the pride because if you can't be your kid's biggest fan, I'm my child's biggest fan. I don't care. Yeah. I watch him, I watch her, and I'm cheering her name. I used to cheer my daughter's name and dance. I don't give a damn. She danced better than all y'all. She dancing better than all you girls up there. I don't care what anybody says. So I love the man had a pride. If you don't think your kid the best, then who the hell gonna think their kid the best?
Sabrina Ayunesku, who played at Oregon and now at WNBA, has her sort of she's a spokesperson for. She doesn't have her own shoe, but we talked about her in one of our shows.
She got a flip flop. She got her flip-flop. They got her a flip flop.
It was her dad that was the Uber driver. I don't know if he still drives for Uber, but Dan Ayunesku. And they confirmed the story. Great story, man. When it's all said and done, when it comes to these sports, we should be proud of our kids. And that is the ultimate pride. Not just good, the best.
She's the best. She's messing me up. The best. She's the best.
Other stories in the entertainment space. Entertainment report, we got to talk about Aaron Rodgers, who has now created in his business ventures this IMDb-like database that is for athletes and entertainers to give them credit for their stats, as sort of a sports reference, talks about their business dealings. Do you think this is going to blow up? Is this going to be a great venture?
There's right now, I use Wikipedia for a lot of stuff. It's not completely accurate, but it's close enough.
I do too.
I do think it's going to end a lot of sports arguments, so it will be used. So some advertising there. I don't really know what the use is behind that. I mean, for actors, I see why IMDb is there. Like, there's a lot of times these people have been acting a long time before they became famous. They may be on their 5th, 6th movie before they became famous, and you want to know what they were in. Or you're trying, remember that movie that Denzel was in? He had the gap in his mouth. And Denzel. We go. But with the sports team, I get so much of it from Wikipedia right now. But this, from a statistical standpoint, if you can tell me that you're going to give me accurate stats, and then we can really settle some arguments there, and he can put the money behind, because again, you and I can add some to Wikipedia. I could say whatever I want about you or me. We can just add to it. I don't know if it's still the same way, but that's how it used to be. It's free form
publishing. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that, if it's accurate, it could be good. I think there's something to it. One of our old teammates has a little claim to that, says he got a little piece of that. I'll get a story. Maybe we'll have to have him on here to give a soundbite as to what the business venture is. But I'm sure it'll do something. It'll definitely get some initial clicks because he's involved with it.
Maybe. I don't know though. Wikipedia ain't never failed me. And when they wrong, they proudly wrong. And I just share all the wrong information. I think because also Aaron Rodgers just hosted Jeopardy for 2 weeks. I could see this being a Jeopardy question. Failed business venture.
Yes.
What is my database? But good luck to him, man. Good luck to Aaron Rodgers. He is, I think, getting ready for life after football, and he probably should have started doing that as soon as they drafted Julian Love in the first round. But he's absolutely doing it now.
I'm gonna make him wait the way Favre made me wait.
Right, exactly. It's funny how life, man, especially in sports, comes full circle. Anthony Edwards, who we talked about last week, is his first round draft pick in Minnesota Timberwolves. Didn't even know who A-Rod was. Now all of a sudden, he is looking out for A-Rod. He is disappointed that A-Rod and J-Lo are no longer together. He said, man, he gonna be my owner. I want him to be happy. But little does he know, we got the Big Flow show, and it is officially J Flow, because I think J-Lo looking for you.
Be happy for me, man. You know what I mean? His loss is my gain. You know what I'm saying? Me and wifey discussed it. She wants me to be happy too. So
there it is,
J-Lo, me and J Flow coming out with our own little J Flow name. But yeah, I don't know that he really wants to get in his owner's love life business. He might want to just peel to the back. Sorry, you shouldn't. You should have never said you didn't know who he was. You messed it up. Now just go away. Yeah. But now you feel bad for him for his love life. You know, everybody don't need that. The only thing worse would be is if you saw J-Lo with him out. If you took her out, that'd be a bad look. You never know. She reinvents herself every time. She might want to be a hoop head now.
Now she want to go get a hoop. That is number one on the ways to get fired list. All right, so let's end it here. And we have entitled this show, Don't Wait to Exhale, because it was a heavy week. But it was a heavy week because of the Derek Chauvin verdict. This Ma'Khia Bryant video that was released, 16-year-old girl took basically point-blank shots to her chest. Because this is the entertainment report segment, let's just talk about the pop culture response and the reaction, both to the Chauvin verdict and to this latest video that has gone viral. And you talk about explicit videos. If you got a weak stomach, don't watch that video, because literally watch a 16-year-old child get killed. The week after, we watched a 13-year-old kid get killed, Adam Toledo. So what do you think, man? We saw LeBron sent the tweet out. We
retracted the tweet. Yeah.
Retracted the tweet.
I think we're in a powder keg society right now. We're in a cancel culture. You know what I mean? When I think about something like this right now, I got to watch what I say, because I don't have a chance. Some people don't know me; they just hear what I had to go say. What I want us to do as a people is a people, being Americans, not as African Americans, whatever, is let's not try to choose a side and rush to judgment. Let's try to figure out what the truth is, right? We have time to see what's going on. I mean, when you look at a lot of these shootings of what's going on, you don't get the full story right away. The media, both conservative and liberal media, are all going to try to spin something one way or the other. And during the emotions of the trial, the first thing you hear about is this girl in Ohio gets shot by the police. So before you know her name, before you know the circumstances, before you know it, it gets thrown in and it gets lumped in with the Floyd case, right? So we emotionally get up and we get charged and we see it. I watch the videos, and it's tragic anytime a child dies, and the situation was tragic. But at the same time, you look at it, and they're not the exact same case, right? Right. There's a little difference involved. You can't look at them as the same and just lump them all into one big case. You look at the gentleman that lost his life in Minnesota when the lady thought she had a taser. That's not the same case as what's going on.
Dante Wright.
I'm sorry, and I apologize for not having the names.
No worries.
But,
Dante Wright.
Dante Wright losing his life and whatever. I think what we have to do is, and this just goes towards trying to come together as a people and understand. I think everyone looks at George Floyd case on both sides of the aisle, both sides, conservative versus liberal, whatever, and they say that was wrong, right? I have a lot of police friends that normally will hold comment, and they're like, that dude was wrong, and the other people that were with him were wrong, and that should go. And I think we got to look at that. We have to be able to speak honestly as African Americans, as a policer. So if you're a quote unquote Blue Lives Matter person, whatever that's supposed to mean, or Black Lives Matter, we need to look at these situations objectively, each one of them, for the facts, and let them stand on their own and not lump them all together. So that's my statement that I'll make. I would encourage you guys out there, if you have not seen the tapes, to watch them. They are graphic. It's terrible to watch someone lose their life. But I think to get understanding of what's going on before you have judgment, you're going to have a judgment one way or the other. But before you have the judgment, watch the whole tape, listen to the audio, see what's going on, and then kind of make it that way. Because otherwise, we all jump out with these big arguments, and we kind of polarize each other, because we don't treat each one individually or fairly in that way. So I'll leave it at that.
I think you make great points. And to your point, we don't talk to each other. We talk at each other. We do all the talking and none of the listening when it comes to these polarizing videos and what our response is to those videos. And I agree with you there. But at the same time, it's tragic to me because while there is maybe justifiable means to use that level of force, it's using that level of force when it came to Adam Toledo against a 13-year-old. And in this case, Ma'Khia Bryant, a 16-year-old. And so now that we are parents of our own kids and we know just how bad on a daily basis the decisions are in our own homes, it's just tragic to me that they'll never, ever, ever be able to recover from what would be considered bad decisions. And that's not taken aside. It is objectively just saying, dang, man, 13 and 16?
You know, we had this conversation, you and I, for a long time. And I shared with you something that my son did that I'm not going to put him out here on air. But
yeah, no, please.
It was some 17-year-old
hypothetical son, not
hypothetical.
Your son.
He didn't break any laws. He didn't break any laws for those of y'all trying to take notes. But he did some things that you're right. It could have, things could have been different than they were. It turned out to be harmless. Nothing was a big deal. Nobody's shot, arrested, nobody, nothing. My son didn't. He's a saint. He didn't do anything. But what you let me know is that people make silly decisions. I'll give you a story from when my son was 12 years old. We had a young lady came and rang our doorbell, played ding dong ditch. I don't know what you call it in your part of the country, but you ring the doorbell, you run away. For some reason, that's fun to people, right? And my son takes off. My son was upstairs in the shower or something. The girl does it like 2 or 3 times, and I can see her because she's hiding behind a tree that's not very big, right? Like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. This is before
the Ring doorbell. So
this is before the Ring doorbell when I could catch her, right? And so I'm like, I see you. So anyway, I tell my son, hey, there's some girls out there playing around now. I'm not one of these parents that overreact and scream and yell at little kids. Some girls messing with my kid, whatever. So I said this to do it. He's like, I'm gonna figure out who it was. I think I know. So he takes off and he runs out the house. He comes back about 20 minutes later, and I'm like, did you figure out what happened? Again, I don't care. It's just childish play to me.
Right.
He said, no, I went to the house that I thought that that was there, and I rang the bell. Nobody came to the door. I said, okay, what'd you do then? He said, well, I thought they were hiding inside, so I started looking in all the windows. My stomach drops. I said, you started looking in all the windows? He said, yeah. And then someone came home, so I hid behind a bush.
No.
I almost fainted. I said, I'm the worst black father in America. I said, what would make you do that? He said, well, I figured they were just playing around and they hid in there. I said, boy, you're about 5'10" at the time. You look like a grown man. You're black, and you're running through neighborhoods, looking through windows and hiding behind a bush.
Wow.
Somebody could have killed you. And he was like, huh? And I'm like, you look like a robber, man. You look like somebody crazy. You don't live around there. They don't know who you are. We just moved into this neighborhood. Nobody knows what's going on.
Ahmaud Arbery.
And next thing you know, you could have got taken out. And he says, oh, I didn't think about that, because he had innocent intention. So now I'm not going to take that leap and talk about these other people, because they weren't just people peeking in windows because of ding dong ditch. But the bottom line is what you pointed out to me is children make bad decisions all the time, and they shouldn't lose their life. But as parents, I took an opportunity. I guarantee you my son's never looked at nobody's window again. And I guarantee you he ain't never hid behind nobody's bush again. And I've explained to my son many, many times before how the world perceives him, because he's a larger, fit human being. He looks older than he is, and how things are going to think. So, the 13-year-old boy who's out in the street at 3 o'clock in the morning with the gun shooting at people, nobody thinks he's 13 years old. And when a cop is chasing him down the alley, he doesn't think he's chasing a 13-year-old, or he's even thinking about the age. He's chasing a man that was just shooting at people, trying to kill people. Not him. It was the other guy trying to kill somebody moments before, and he's running down there in the mindset. So we can go back and forth onto whether or not he put his hands up and he had the time. But we as parents, who I'm talking to now, the parents, because there's no police officers watching this show, nobody who's in charge of making policy watching the show, but there's plenty of people watching the show with kids. We have to make sure when we think our kids are looking in a window because of ding dong ditch, that we tell them that that's dangerous. when our kids are out there in these streets running around doing something like that and they don't come home to us, we have to realize we could have prevented that had we stopped them from being out there. You can still say the cops were wrong all you want. We can do that. And that's a completely different conversation. But I love mine. I know you love yours. And all you people watching love your kids. We got to teach these kids how to come home. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to your point, because there is a perception out there and you got to, it might not be right, but it's real. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my sons are going to be large as well. Unless the milkman spent too much time here delivering milk, they should be pretty tall. Mm-hmm. And that means being tall and bigger size and black, they're going to be perceived as a threat to some people. Mm-hmm. But I just caution to
your kid's pretty though.
Yeah,
they ain't nobody worry about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know, hey, some people, boy, black is impossible of being pretty. They see us as a threat no matter what. But I'll say this, man, as you describe it, like because the 13-year-old, he was with someone that was shooting, and I think that was their version of ding dong ditch. Unfortunately, they do it with weapons. Unfortunately, they think that that's just mischief because the use of gun violence in Chicago has run so rampant that that's their version of ding dong ditch. And they still shouldn't lose their life for playing a dumb game that's dangerous. And that's the challenge. And I agree with you as parents. We have to acknowledge that it's our responsibility to teach that there is a world out there that perceives you as dangerous. There are police out there that aren't as well trained, that aren't as cautious
when collected or
and they succumb to their implicit bias, period, point blank. So those that we can chew and walk gum at the same time. Yes, let's address the policy issues and make sure the training is such that there are de-escalation tactics put in place before just firing off your gun. Yes, we do want to make sure that when these things happen, that there's a justice system that hold the police accountable for their actions. But in the sense of walking and chewing gum at the same time, as parents, we got to do our thing too. Now, you said something that I'm going to take a slight issue with. You said everybody saw the Derek Chauvin video and thought that it was wrong. Not everybody, because Brett Favre publicly said this week that he basically believes there's no way Derek Chauvin intended to kill George Floyd.
But he did say he thought his actions were wrong. He just said he didn't think he set out to kill him when he kneeled on his neck, but he said what he did was wrong and went over.
Well, that's why it was manslaughter, not necessarily a certain degree of murder, and not first degree murder. I think it's third degree murder.
It wasn't a premeditated, I went out to kill the dude or whatever. Right. I think it was utter disregard for his life, which in some ways is more gross. I never use the word respect. They knew each other. They don't talk about that much anymore, but they knew each other from working in a nightclub together.
Right.
It would be more, I hate using words that sound net positive. I could see it happening more if you found out they had beef when they worked together. I could see it, and I tried to kill this man because when I worked together, I always hated him. I did whatever.
Right.
I don't believe in murder, but at the same time, I know that people get to, that people hate each other. But what I saw was just a disregard for human life to the point where you're kneeling with your hand in your pocket. And when he's dead, you still don't move. You still stay on the dead body. And you can feel the life come out of something. You can feel that he's not breathing, not moving anymore. You can tell he's dead. And I don't want to get too graphic with the people listening, but that's the part that disgusts me to death. When I look at somebody,
that's the implicit bias.
That's the implicit bias that does whatever.
The reckless abandon of someone's life.
So, but Brett Favre, I'm not going to defend Brett Favre, but he did say what he did was wrong, and they were uncalled for. He just tries to claim that he didn't try to kill. It's kind of a pointless thing that he's really mentioning what he's trying to say to do it. He's just trying to talk. So I don't know.
All right, we'll end here then because Mark Davis, one of the Vegas owners, essentially created a firestorm with a tweet that says 4 words: "I can breathe." No, it was I
can breathe.
3 words then. That's only 3 words.
It's funny because they do keep referring to it as 4 words, but he did say 3. I can breathe. I can breathe. And
not I can finally breathe. It was just I can breathe.
I can breathe.
I can breathe. So what it created a firestorm because on the opposite end of the Eric Gardner protest, which Eric Gardner in Staten Island was selling a Lucy and got killed in a chokehold, and he said repeatedly, "I can't breathe." And so the protests were chanting, the protesters were chanting, "I can't breathe." And there was a counter protest that supported the police behavior that was chanting, "I can breathe." So I don't know. Yeah. But Mark Davis, and I'm assuming it was news to Mark Davis. But when confronted with it and told that this is why people are sensitive to those words, "I can breathe," he doubled down and said he was not going to delete his tweet. He was not going to retract his statement because he felt that it was justified. Let's end quickly on there.
So my take on it when I read it, I did not know about the "I Can Breathe" movement, which I need to process because that changes my mind a little bit. If I were to hear that there was a "I Can Breathe" movement, which I've never heard of, which I'm surprised.
So they were counter protest.
I know what you're saying.
Gardner. Yep.
Yeah, I never heard that until just now. When George Floyd was getting kneeled on, he was saying, "I can't breathe." So they actually take that statement and they put that with him, and there was murals with him saying, "I can't breathe." He was watching the trial, and because the trial got found guilty, he's saying, "I can finally breathe," because he heard George Floyd's family say, I can finally," maybe not the same words exactly, but "I can finally breathe now that he's there." So he was doing in solidarity with them. This is "I can breathe." The family thanked him for saying that. They thanked him for their support.
Yep, the brother
supported it. So that's why he didn't take it down, because he's saying, "I did this in solidarity. 100%. I'm saying now I can breathe because this guy's going to jail." The family said the same thing, and they supported me. So why would I take it down because somebody that doesn't understand where I'm coming from says to take it down? But I did not know about the counter chant until you just said that. So
I'm not sure. I'm assuming that Mark Davis didn't know either. But my thing is this: just like LeBron deleted his tweet, I do find that as Black people, we realize that we have to be very understanding of other opinions, and we work around the conflict. Their conflict resolution is a part of our DNA because we realize in any situation, conflict can erupt. But when it comes to Mark Davis and those who have, he definitely has the financial wherewithal to say, "You can be mad all you want. I don't care." He's still the owner. He's still going to be a billionaire as a family. They still are, if not a billionaire, encroaching on billionaire status. I just think that people are so elite and privileged in their position because it would have taken nothing, because all you had to do is send another tweet that says, with an asterisk in front of it, "I can now finally breathe that the verdict has come back and we have justice. I can breathe a little easier now knowing that there is at least one court that believes in police accountability." None of the statements that I just shared run afoul of Twitter limitations. And it just would have been very easy to acknowledge and respect the sensitivity around "I can breathe" in a sign that says, I don't necessarily need to be right. This is more important, that the people that are psychologically impacted by, because I could not breathe waiting for the verdict. Despite all of the evidence, all of the video evidence out there, all the things within my legal knowledge and sensibilities that said he is absolutely guilty, it wasn't until the third, the verdict was read for the third
you need
count.
all three. I
needed all three before you really then
all three. I didn't want none of them to come back.
That's the America that we live in. And so that's the only thing I'll say about Mark Davis. And we'll leave it there, man. This has been a great week. Any parting words you have? The Big Flow show in the building. Any words, parting words?
No, I'm just happy, man. Happy to be part of the show. My son's final football game is tonight, playing against Maine South, one of my high school rivals. So shout out to the Naperville Central football team tonight. Best of luck. Shout out to Tyler Morris, just one of his teammates that suffered an injury, small setback, but committed to the University of Michigan. I almost said go blue, and I stopped because to hell with that.
We just don't do that.
I'm just going to root for him. But, shout out to those guys and all those kids out there that are doing things great. So that's my parting words for the night.
I'll part before we get into, we'll end with center court, but I'll part with this. Thank you for everybody that has continued to support this show. The Big Flow Show, by way of Big Flow himself, is more than just a name. It's a personality. It's a comfort and an enjoyment.
Not to just be a showman. I'm a show, man.
It is an enjoyable to be
my rap career. I'm gonna get an album. We're dropping an album on the 15th.
Bars. It is a pleasure to be by your side, my brother. And we did have Meredith Benson, who gave us guest host appearances for a few weeks. She did a great job. You guys know that we've had several people on.
We're not done with you yet, Meredith. Don't go too far.
Don't go too far. We'll continue to bring other guests on, other personalities on as the Ball Hog Sports Talk continues to evolve. We appreciate your support. We ask you every week, humbly, please like, please comment, please share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. If you're listening in podcast world, please subscribe, and we'll get into center court to end it. Great job today, Big Flo. I'll holla, brother.
Peace.
All right. Y'all know what it is. It's the center court, and we take the week's title and we explain a little bit more about that title. And today's title for this show was and is Don't Wait to Exhale. So let's end in the center court. Center court is brought to you by Excessive Celebration. We're much more than a party. We are an experience on top of your event. Don't wait to exhale. If you're anything like me, you held your breath while a verdict was being read at the Derek Chauvin trial. Despite all the video evidence, despite all the legal acumen within me that said that he was guilty, I was holding my breath, nervous, anxious. You were too. And we were holding our breath because we wanted justice. We were holding our breath because we wanted peace, finally, in the streets of Minnesota. We were holding our breath because, well, it seems like we have been waiting oh so long for police officers to be held accountable for such actions. Not long after the verdict had been handed down, another video surfaced of a young 16-year-old young lady being shot by a police officer, which seemed to support our belief that we need to wait to exhale. Well, today, we encourage everyone to stop waiting to exhale. Breathe, smile, and live. Life is way too short for us to be on pins and needles every single day. It leads to some of our psychological issues, depression. This pandemic has taught us that tomorrow is absolutely not promised. So please don't wait to exhale. It's time we enjoy the life we are given, even if there are horrible things and horrible people all around us. Each of you, you are a blessing to your family and friends. So be that blessing by exhaling and letting go of the dark cloud that seems to be around us. Let's be sure we fully live before we die. So go ahead and exhale. And that's a word. This has been the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy B. Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of South, aka Mr. Excessive Celebration, with my man Big Flo, aka the Big Flo Show. It's been a great episode, a great week. Thank you again. Please like, please comment, please share. Tag a friend, tag a foe. Subscribe in podcast world, and come back next week for another Ball Hog Sports Talk where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We out. Peace.